All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone. We're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching us is 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be likened to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. We're back together for another installment of our camps series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. We're going to go into this article from the Smithsonian Voices, from the Smithsonian Museums. And if you know anything about the Smithsonian, it is one of the museums that harbors a lot of artifacts throughout history. And if you saw the scene in Black Panther, a lot of those artifacts were, acquired through rape, murder, and robbery and pillaging. Acquired illegally. All right, that scene with Killmonger in the museum with the lady, and we have this article, and it's titled "How the Transatlantic Slave Trade Continues to Impact Modern Life," just written earlier this month, as you can see, November 7th, 2024. And we're not going to read the entire article. It's quite lengthy. We're just going to hit a few key points and include the link of the article in the description box of the video. All right. Now, like I said, it's how the transatlantic slave trade continues to impact modern life. And this article, follows on the heels of the scripture Obadiah 1 and 10, which is the theme of For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob series. All right? Somebody want to read that?
It's the book of Obadiah, verse 10. It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever."
God, man, this is talking about Esau Edom, the so-called white man, who is the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4. All right, and his violence is, on Jake is just it's just ridiculous. The amount of stuff that he's done to Jake, over the years, especially since he's been in power. And even when he wasn't in power, he was helping the other nations to help destroy us. Okay, but it says, "For thy violence against us," again, that violence has been perpetual. He says, "Shame shall cover you," and how is that shame covering? Because everything he's done over in time, is being exposed now, and the whole world knows who the true devil is, who the culprit is. Led by the small hatters over in the state of Israel, because they had a whole lot to do with the transatlantic slave trade. As a matter of fact, not only did they finance it, that they own the ships. Okay, and it says, and that shame is being discovered. That's why they want to censor everything right now.
Yep. And just throughout history, as we're reading Obadiah, and I know we always stop at 10, but let's get verse 11. Because even throughout history, whether it been in the the original Babylonian kingdom, then you had even in the time of 70 AD, there were different pockets. Those were big jumps, but there were different points in time in which Esau Edom has had a hand in the downfall and the pulling down of your so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
So Egypt.
In Egypt,
like I said, Babylon, and even in the time of Judith.
Yep. So let's read the next verse. It says, "In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, the foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was one of them." So you were even back then, those different time periods, and especially when you look at the Ark of Titus, around 70. We say 70 AD. We kind of started a little bit earlier, like
67.
where you came in and you took Jerusalem by or Israel, you compassed about the land, and then you took siege, and of course many, as we looked at, what's the book, from Babylon to Timbuktu, with Rudolph Winsler, the author, spoke about how it was estimated a million so-called black Jewish slaves, so Israelites, or it said slaves, but ran into Africa, during that same time period. So history shows in which, you have had a hand in every part. And then we come into modern day with America, which is also Babylon, aka Babylon, where many of us have went into slave ships, which is speaking of in Deuteronomy. Right?
Because even, when it's speaking of Obadiah, because Esau, he was responsible for pretty much burning up the temple.
Yep.
Because, see, at that time, the Babylonians, they would come to siege Jerusalem. But as the brothers are going into, it's always times in history where another nation will come and afflict the children of Israel, and in some way, somehow, Esau, Edom will be found in the cut.
Yeah.
So like Obadiah going into, Esau, even though the Babylonians did the majority of the sieging of Babylon, Edom, they're responsible for burning down the temple, man.
Like I said, he said that was as one of them. You took much part in it.
I had a quick precept. This is just to back up your point. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 10, and it reads, "What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?" All right, so that's pretty much saying, everybody, the remaining 17 nations has had their hand on us. All right, they have had their hand on us, okay, and taken part of our spoils. Just like he was saying, even though the Babylonians, had us, he, definitely had a part in it. He helped them, by destroying our temple. All right.
All right. You want to read more in that article?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get into the article now. Yeah, so just, and finishing up on Obadiah 1 and 10, you're going to be cut off forever, based on, everything you've done to us. Okay, let's get into the article. It says, and the title is How the Transatlantic Slave Trade Continues to Impact Modern Life. A new Smithsonian book reckons with the enduring legacies of slavery and capitalism. All right. And it goes on, the history of slavery, its victims, and its impact might appear to be unconnected to the present. We tend to relegate slavery to a long ago past and consider it an unfortunate episode set in motion by people living at a time distant from our own. And I want to pause right here. They want to say it's a long time, but the a remnant of that is feeling it. When I say the remnant, the elect, as well as the 2/3, but they're not going to come back to the truth. The remnant knows. He said it would be a sign and a wonder for us. Can somebody grab the curse, Deuteronomy 28, verse 45 to 46, Baba Kashab?
Yeah, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verses 45 and 46. It says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes and his to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee."
God, so we throughout the history, throughout the time of getting the law, have constantly failed as a nation in keeping the law. All right, and when this law was written in stone to Moses, it said if you don't keep them, you're going to be punished for it. All these curses, and that's from verse 15 all the way down to verse 68. All right, which we'll get into as well. But what we want to notice here that there's a colon at the end of verse 45, and this is substantiated. Go ahead, verse 46.
Verse 46, it says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever."
God, so we, all the descendants would feel the impact, regardless of how long ago it was. Okay, we will see the things that's going to be happening to us. And you have a lot of Jake, like I said, it'd be a sign and a wonder. The sign is where the elect, it sees exactly what is happening. But the wonder is those who don't want to believe the truth. Why is this happening to us? Why can't we get out of this? Well, the prophets will give you the answer. Okay? How do you have the answers to the test and still flunk it? That's on you. All right? So we get.
Just real quick, I know just to backtrack, just a quick moment when the brother brought out how Edom, was burning the temples.
Mm-hmm.
This is First Esdras chapter 4 verses 45. It says, actually I read 44. It says, and to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart, when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and to send them again thither. It says, thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judah was made desolate by the Chaldeans. So Chaldees.
Yeah, but who are the Chaldees, man? All right, Babylonians.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you that during the time, excuse me, when the Lord raised up the Babylonians, all right, to come against Jerusalem and siege it, guess what? Edom was there too.
Mm-hmm.
And Edom was responsible, okay, for burning the temples, or for burning the temple of Judea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we understand because what Cyrus, okay, he was the one that allowed Judah, all right, to rebuild that temple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this right here goes to show you that what ultimately Edom, all right, had a hand in the affliction of Jake, even during the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so Esau, man, he's got a heavy tab to pay for, because see, when it comes to Edom's judgment, okay, it's not just pertaining. All right, the Lord's not going to recompense you just according to the things that happen on this side of the world, man. All right, the Lord's going to recompense you according to what you did to us in the Babylonian captivity. Okay, when we were going into Babylon, right? The 70 A.D. All right, the Roman siege of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and pretty much everything you've done to us, all right, throughout the course of time, man.
Precept. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof. So that's just to your point of burning down. That race it was to burn down pretty much the land, make it desolate. Yeah. That's it.
And then, like, going back to a sign and a wonder, based on that, on that scripture that you just read, both of them burning down and stuff. Every time Jake was about to be great, whether it was coming back to his laws, statutes, or commandments, or over here in Babylon, what he do? He burned it down.
Yep.
Anytime we were going to progress, he'd come burn it down. So that's another sign, of them being the same people in the scriptures.
Yep. And then let's bring it to modern time. Well, most modern time, that when the Emancipation Proclamation, I'm doing air quotes, the Emancipation Proclamation, and we had our own land for a time, and we started building up our own, having doctors and lawyers, and have had our own little civilization within the land, and had our own hospitals and things like that. Edom, through jealousy, through greed, went into the land and burned down many of those lands, even to the point of certain lands setting bombs and churches and different things like that. So they've always have had a point in the destruction of the demise. And then put water, and then you have different lands, where they then set water,
man-made lakes,
yep, over these towns in which were once inhabited by you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that were thriving societies, cities.
And you got to remember too, a lot of those were established after the 40 acres and a mule was rejected. Okay. I looked at a study not too long ago, had each one of those enslaved families received the 40 acres and a mule. As of 2015, that would have been worth $6.4 trillion. Okay, So even though they probably couldn't see that back then, they could see what was happening at the time when we were building up and didn't need them. So just like now, Jake is still trying to build over in this place. I think it was Elder Karatazak out of Las Vegas who did a video on that not too long ago, saying, and he's going through the history. Jake, is not going to happen. You still have to go to them. These facilities, when you want to build, you still have to get a permit from them. It still has to be approved by them. This place is not our rest. Okay? So, all right, get back to the article.
Yeah.
All right, continuing back in the article, it says, it is hard to accept that a trade in human beings. All right, it is hard to come to terms with the dungeons on the West African coast, or the slave quarters in Louisiana, or the history of slave ownership on the part of Ivy League universities and Fortune 500 companies. Okay, so everybody had a hand in this, man. Anything that's existing to this day, all right, that is prospered.
Precept.
Go ahead.
And this is going to be the book of Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 15. It says, "And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they help for the affliction." You know what I'm saying? Hey, we always talk about Edom, all right, and the things they done to us, because they're the primary culprit.
Yep.
And when it comes to the affliction of so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, man, the Israelites. Okay, but the other nations have had a hand in it too. The Ishmaelites, the Arabs, didn't they also have a part in the
Trans-Sahara.
The Sub-Saharan.
Sub-Saharan.
Slave
Sub-Saharan.
trade.
kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they guilty. All right, Ham, all right, is guilty for sending off Jakes or selling Jakes off to Edom. Okay, and Joel, the 3rd chapter, actually goes into that.
Yep.
When it goes into the judgment of or the recompense that the Lord is going to bring upon Tyre and Zidon, and you sold a boy
For a harlot.
for a harlot,
And the girl for wine.
and
that
girl
they
for
might
wine.
drink.
And you see that the documentary. Oh my goodness, it went around GMS for quite a bit. Goodbye Uncle Tom. Yeah, Goodbye Uncle Tom, and that was out before Roots and was 1,000 times worse because it actually showed everything. All right.
It was a very, very strong depiction visually.
A very good 2-hour watch if you have time to watch it.
Yep.
All right.
For precept. Because there was, at the top of that article, it said it's hard to what? I think it was like,
Let me go back.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to accept a trade in human beings. It is hard to come to terms with the dungeons on the West African
we'll
coast.
stop right there. So they said it's hard to accept, but no. If you have the spirit and the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, it's not hard to accept. Because Yahweh, when we talked about the curses, we bring that Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, he told us that he was going to lead us into captivity. If we can get that real quick.
Yeah, I get it. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It says, "And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof which I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again."
So the Egypt, which is synonymous with bondage. All right. So we know that also in Revelation it talks about America being spiritual Egypt and Sodom, which also deals with the hardcore bondage and also the lewd, wicked acts that also goes on along with it.
God.
And then we know that also that our people had never gone back into the original, or we say the first Egypt bondage, and they definitely didn't go by way of ships. So when we look at modern day time, that the majority of our people, or a lot of our people, let's say, went into the Americas. But then we also had the native tribes that were also placed on ships and was sent out into South America and like Europe and different other parts of the land as well. So we are the ones that hold to that. We hold to that we can say that we are those people that have been placed on these ships and sent all over the four corners of the earth. And it says, whereby he spake to thee, he says, thou shalt not see it no more again. And go ahead.
Hey, what's that talking about, man? The land, which ultimately we ain't gonna see or touch the land, which 9 times, because Jake is scattered everywhere. So of course, you got Israelites, amongst the small hatters over there. Right. But those of us, in the know, we understand that we're not gonna touch that land until Yahweh Shai is sent back to deliver us, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and furthermore, in Revelation the 11th chapter speaks about a spiritual Egypt. Okay,
Yep.
so that's how we know that what we're reading right here in Deuteronomy 28:68 is dealing with a spiritual Egypt, aka America.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the house of our bondage.
Yep.
It says, "And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you."
Yep. So that bond men, bond women, it deals with being slaves, servants. And so when we came over here, and like the brother brought out, Goodbye Uncle Tom, you see those articles. If you look at the Babylon Timbuktu, I mean, there's many different books, but these are two that we brought out that they talked about, you know, the slave markets, you know, were filled with black Jew slaves, is what, just to quote Rudolph Windsor in that book. And then he said, no one shall buy you. That buy goes into being redeemed, taken out of this condition, placed back into your land. But the one that will ultimately do so will be Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shai is going to bring us back from our captivity and place us back in our own land. And so you have those who come up in these false doctrines and prophets that come up and they put before you to seem to give our people a false hope. You know, talking about they had a dream, us living, you know, coming together, you know, with Malcolm X. Martin Luther King, and then you had Malcolm X, and you had Marcus Garvey. You had I'm trying Du Bois. You had all these different ones, men, and even up until today that came in to try to give this false hope of thinking that we would have generational wealth in this society and this system. But no, it's not until Yahweh sends his son Yahweh Shai back and to give us that full rest and redemption.
God. And just to your point, when he says, "No man shall buy you," Yahweh Shai, you know, makes that clear in Isaiah 47 when he says, "I will not meet thee as a man," and you know he says he's going to he's the Redeemer, the Holy One, you know, of Israel. You want to grab that Isaiah 47 right quick?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
It's the book of. I'm just jumping straight to the point.
Yep.
Isaiah 47 verse 3. He says, "Thy nakedness shall be uncovered."
All your sins.
Yeah. It says, "Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man."
God.
It says, and
not meeting you as a man. That's when he's saying he's coming back in all of his glory and power.
Yep.
You know, in that body of immortality.
Yep, and he's referencing, you know, the daughter of Babylon, which is again dealing with America in today's time, and then of course the Chaldeans, which the brother brought out, who that, you know, in modern time that represents, and then so we know that in these last days he's coming in his power, his angelic force and power when he returns. In verse 4 it says, "As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name." It says, "The Holy One of Israel."
So yeah, that's what he said. And you know, just going back to your point too about the transatlantic slave trade in that same movie, Goodbye Uncle Tom, you saw Gad on that ship. You know, they were actually on that ship. So yeah, they were picking us up, moving us all around the time that the Native Americans were also reclassified as Negro too. You know, I forget the Jewish guy's name who did it, but yeah.
Precept.
Go ahead.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13. It says, to kind of touch on the point of further of being unbelief as far as like captivity. It says, and the point we're making is that captivity is in the Bible.
Yeah.
Slavery is in the Bible. It says, "Therefore my people are gone into captivity." Say that possessive, "My people have gone into captivity because they have no knowledge." So his people, you know, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians went into slavery, right? Because we fell away from the knowledge and the understanding and following the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the covenant that he gave us laws and commandments to be governed by.
Right.
And because we fell away from that, we went into slave ships. We are in some of the most horrific conditions that any man cannot compare. I think, did we bring that out? I know there's one.
Daniel 9.
Yeah, yeah. Let me grab it
Just real quick. And while you grab that out, yeah, go ahead and get that first.
Yep. Let me see.
I think 11.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I read it. Let me see. Yep. Daniel chapter 9, verses 11 and 12. It says, "Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses," going back to what
See? Yeah.
Deuteronomy 28 chapter.
Yeah.
It says that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judge that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. That great evil was going to the curses, man.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it said in Deuteronomy 28 and 45. But as you brought that out, he confirmed it in the curses, Deuteronomy 28 verse 15 through 68. The word shall or shout appears 110 times, which means inevitable. It is going to happen. All right. So that he confirmed it, just like he read in Daniel chapter 9 verse 11 to 12.
Was there more?
Yeah. It says, "For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem."
Yeah. So that's the point. So like when people are saying things like, you have other nations come into the Americas, and we've been here for like 400 some years, but yet why are we still in the same conditions?
Yep.
Why our women are in the are out in the open like they are? Why our men are not top leaders, but yet we are some of the best athletes and rappers and singers in the world, but yet we're the most degenerate nation when you see us on TV and how they portray us throughout the whole earth. It's because we are under these conditions, these curses.
Yep.
Let me finish this off. This is book Isaiah chapter 5 verse 13. I'm going to read it again. "Therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished." Going back to the point. Yep. It says, "And their multitude dried up with thirst," because we don't have the law. We don't have the understanding. Well, now the elect have the understanding, but but the 2/3 of our people, there was a time where we were in that darkness, that dark state, and the Lord has brought it back to us, because there's a scripture, someone can get that in the land of our captivity, we will call it to mind.
Oh, Baruch. Yes, this is the book of Baruch, chapter 2. Starting advertisements.
That's good, bro.
Yeah, I got it. Chapter 2, starting at verse 29, and it reads, "If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations."
So we've been scattered among the nations.
That's what it said. I will scatter where I will scatter them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It says, if ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. Verse 30, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their..."
Stiff-neck goes into stubborn. You're rebellious. Stubborn. When you're not listening to the laws of the Lord, you're rebellious and you're stubborn. So then you now go into these punishments. Go ahead.
It says, "But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves."
And now he has a very small remnant to have come back and remember themselves, to come back to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So that's only by the grace and mercy that we can accept the conditions that we live in. You have people who actually have people die or get sick or learn of these conditions, and they want to blame the Most High. They want to have some type of indignation or be upset about the Most High, like because they didn't get their election, the member that they voted for, you know, that one chick, you know, who was like, you know, blaspheming the Lord, you know, saying hate, you know, being hatred toward the Heavenly Father and His Son, because she didn't get her choice of pick, you know, in this election. But there are many things that are going on that our people are despising and showing it through their actions, whether it be committing adultery, bearing false witness, stealing, you know, scamming one another, all together, you know. And because of that reason, we're, you know, the people get picked apart by the enemy, you know.
Yeah, I want to add too. This is also a cut to the small hatters that's in the land right now. You know, it said in the land of their captivity. You're not in captivity right now. You're actually in the land, and that's a small portion of it. You know, you have the slither, according to Joshua 13 through 22, but you don't have the whole land as was promised to Abraham in Genesis, I believe it was 15 and 18. That's from the great river of the Nile, the great river of Egypt, which is the Nile, all the way over to the Euphrates. You know, and that's why you're battling all those folks over there now, because you're trying to fulfill prophecy and getting that land as well, but you're not going to get it. And he says, you know, they're gonna remember themselves. You know.
Yeah, well, it's something.
You always say they knew their history.
Yeah, it's something because the scriptures say that a bastard
shall dwell in Ashdod.
Shall dwell in Ashdod, and I just pulled up Ashdod, and it says Ashdod is a modern city in Israel that was established in 1956, incorporated by the city in 19. It was incorporated the city in 1968. So we know that, we always say that 1948ers, they went in, they established, they were placed in the land and of Israel, but the Bible also speaks that there would be a heathen occupying the land until all the other things would come to pass, and then he was going to rid them out of that land. So just going back to what we were reading before, us going into captivity, us remembering ourselves. We got the Romans 3:3, says, what if some did not believe? Kind of going back to the article. Does it make the faith of Yahweh B'Ashem Yahushua without effect? God forbid. Let Most High word be true and every man a liar. So we know that the Lord has spoken upon slavery, captivity, the harsh conditions that we would be in, and he's speaking of even more things that are actually to come. So if these things happen and we believe and we see it, then we know that the other things in which he said were going to come to pass will come to pass, because he said that he is a man that he should not lie. All right.
And just to back you up, that word bastard, I know that beloved elder brother Malcolm has this dictionary that's no longer in print, but that word actually goes back into fraud, which is what they are. A fraud in the land. All right.
Yeah, we'll touch on a few more. I know we going in, but you go ahead, bro.
And it says, verse 31 in Baruch chapter 2, verse 31. It says, and shall know that I am Yahweh their power, for I will give them an heart and ears to hear. Okay, who is he talking about there? His elect.
Right.
He says, my sheep will hear my voice. And he gave us, according to Revelations, Romans 11:7 and 8, he gave us the eyes to see and the ears to hear. All right, and that's talking about his elect. All right. Verse 32, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. That's what we doing on the highways and byways, week in and week out on our video epistles. Okay. And verse 33, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord. All right. So yeah.
So we're accepting through the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua giving this understanding. We are accepting of the conditions that we've been placed in, because it was nothing that he did. It was because we didn't hold up to our end of the covenant. Right. And so we got and have received everything that we deserved. And but he, through his mercy, he gave us this knowledge and understanding through his son Yahweh Shai, by Yahweh Shai returning, you know, and he actually brought forth the knowledge, the truth. You know, he says even the spirit of truth, you know, that he has given us to actually understand everything that's going on. But again, he didn't give it to everyone. He gave it to an elect. And like he tells the apostles had asked him, you know, the disciples at the time, they asked him, they said, why do you speak to them in parables? He said, because it was given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom.
Right.
So these are mysteries that when people look, these signs and these wonders of like, why are they in the conditions that they're in? Why are there men, you know, in the conditions that they're in? Why are the women as wild as they are? And we're going around right now without a physical king, without a physical rulership. You know, it's like we're wandering in this land. It's because Yahweh Bashim Shai placed us in this situation because of our misdeeds, misdoings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's like you said, you know, you'll remember the way of our fathers were saying before the Lord. How do we do that? Getting into the scriptures and having that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because he also said in Romans 15:4, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. You know, and that's what we are right now. We are those prisoners of hope, you know, because we believe these scriptures. You know, we have the apostles taking us through this history, you know, breaking everything down, learning and reteaching it, you know, learning and reteaching it, you know. So we know we are those people that this book speaks of. All right.
You got anything? Let's just a few little points, another couple of points, and then we're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It says back into the article. Like I said, we'll put a link in the description box. It's very lengthy. We do want to hit a point on one of the slave owners, Thomas Jefferson. It says, but we'll finish up this paragraph. Slavery shapes the way we assess incarceration and liberty, immigration, citizenship, value, and insurance, and travel and home. Slavery normalized what, in hindsight, we can agree were universally abhorrent practices. The story of slavery is powerfully at odds with logic, justice, and democracy, but lurking just beneath the surface of the institutions and experiences that shape contemporary life are the legacy of violence, racism, dispossession of the peculiar institution. There we find the origins of colonialism, extractive long-distance trade, and capitalism.
Yep. So pretty much the thriving parts of current modern day society were all they all received their riches and their wealth of some form from slavery. So when you go into Wall Street, you know, it said that the original auction blocks, you know, that the people were bidding for, you know, were the slaves.
Precept.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is going to be the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another.
Yep.
You see, and the kingdom is getting ready to be translated from Esau to Jacob. Right? Second Ezra 6th chapter tells us what? That for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that world is going into a time period or age or rulership. You see? So, hey, man, we're at the end of Esau's world, the end of Esau's rulership right now. All right, as we speak, man. All right, guess what, man? Jacob, all right, which ultimately it's Yahweh Shai's kingdom that's about to be established upon earth. But what? Yahweh Shai, he comes from the seed of Jacob. All right, as he's an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, all right, according to Hebrews 7:14. See, so, hey, Yahweh Shai's kingdom is getting ready to be established upon earth, man, after Esau's kingdom goes out, man. And this is the judgment that's coming upon Esau for everything he's done unto us, man, and all the wickedness he has exercised in the earth.
God.
Yeah.
God.
And it goes back to your point, like I said, because I know we don't want to lose the fact that, you know, though Yahweh Bashim Shai scattered us, you know, the point that you made earlier, you said they held forward the affliction. They weren't, none of these nations didn't see our conditions and decided, hey, let's help them. Let's figure out a way to get them up. They understood as long as they are down, we're up. and so they push forward, you know, and keeping them down. So then, of course, you have the banking system. You have, and through the banking system, there's certain loans and housing, redlining. When you had certain where the interest rates were very much higher for you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, where it would be different for the other nations. Getting business, establishing businesses within the community, like you had mentioned, different not patents, but different what do you call it, to get land. To occupy different land and own a business, I guess you have to get a certain type
permits.
To receive certain permits. And then, since I mentioned patents, you know, you had the patent office where, you know, so-called blacks, you know, Hispanics and Native Indians were very creative and different ideas, which were pretty much taken and stolen from them when you trusted in the patent office, and they then later took it. And then you got the music, you know, whereas a lot of them come in. Music, actually, let's just say the entertainment industry as a whole, whether it be sports or music, you come in with this talent and you're getting crumbs based off of comparable to, and the Bible talks about the crumbs, you know, but comparable to what the owners are receiving, billions, and yet you're paying $1 million contract here, a couple $1 million contracts here, and yet this particular entertainer, let's say like a LeBron James or Michael Jordan, are stacking seats in the house. They're bringing in the money, but they're getting the least compared, you know, to it.
Like pennies on every dollar.
And they get exploited by that because it's like, you either take this or we'll find somebody else that we can set up and build up to receive it. So then Jake is going to take anything that they can receive to get out of the condition, to run from the condition, the curses in which we're under.
I just want to bank on what he said about you know, Jacob. Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning and follow it. You know, and the Lord said that in Isaiah 63, He would return to a world ruled by Edom. You know, and this is just me as a man speaking. That's why I believe that, you know, centering where we are in prophecy and all that's left to happen, that's probably why, you know, it was set up for Trump to win it. Because, you know, when you look at this lady he was running against, we know through the studies that her lineage goes back to an Edomite, but there was so much ambiguity with her identity. But now we know for certain with this guy, you know, he is an Edomite, you know, and it's going to lead back to him.
Because you know what, even speaking upon that, I believe this article came back when Trump was still in office. Like pretty much a lot of ways, like a lot of forms of execution they was trying to bring back. I think that article even came back while he was still in office, back towards maybe the end. It was maybe going towards the end of 2020, but you know, on there you had the firing squad, I believe, the gas chambers, guillotines, so on and so forth. So, while Jake, you know, because look, whether you voted for DJ Trump or Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, are you still guilty of trusting the men? And neither one of them are for your cause. It's especially this Trump fella. Right, he's getting ready to show you what he's about, man.
So but to your point, and also, you know, like I know you say you're thinking, you know, as a man, regardless of whether it would have been Trump or Kamala, how about Shemal Shai? Everything is going to be played out. The prophecies stand. His counsel stands. You know, above all things. So whoever would have been, we've still been looking for the major prophecies to come, which would be the MOTB. You have Third World War. You have then you have the famines and the word of the Lord.
Famine of the word.
The famine of the word. Famine of. Say it again.
Famine of the word.
Yeah, famine of the word. Gotta slow down a little bit. Get excited. Are soon to come as well. You know. Do we have anything else? Just one more. Let's touch on one more.
I want to get to that point about in this article where it talks about Thomas Jefferson. It says, I'll read it pretty quick. The system of slavery was built on the claim that Africans would provide docile and controllable labor in the Americas, and that they wouldn't rebel or complicate labor arrangements with demands for family or freedom. And yet,
I'm sorry, because one thing too, just to mention, is that when they mentioned all of that previously, as far as like housing and bank, and economics that we mentioned before, all of it was off of free labor.
Yep.
We just got to remember that there was free labor. So they got super wealthy from the picking of cotton and from the auctioning off and selling of our people. We didn't get recompense, and going back to that 40 acres and a mule and the different things, it was completely free labor for them.
Yeah, and with that, you deal in real estate a little bit. The number one rule in that is return on investment. They ain't have to invest nothing, but they got a hell of a return. Yeah.
Well, they invested in the building of the boats and the sending the guys out to collect. I mean, those guys got paid.
Yeah.
Well,
who ultimately got paid?
But then going back to the insurance,
because
they insured the stock in which they've got,
yep,
and they would throw us overboard. So let's think about that too. We would get thrown overboard because the article talked about the sharks.
Yep.
We would be thrown overboard, and they would have a tally as far as the amount of stock, and they would get insurance based off of us being tossed overboard, putting a ball and chain on the legs and chaining up several slaves and throwing it over the ship and pulling us all down, our people down into the water.
Y'all got to pay for that too.
Yep, and it was based on the value of the dollar that day. So if it increased, once again, so everything that they, like you said, invested in, it was literally nothing.
Yeah.
They made money hand over fist. Okay. You had something?
No, you go ahead and finish
that.
I'll probably bring something out when you're done reading it.
Okay. It says, let's see, back to the top. It says, and yet in every instance when enslaved men and women articulated the complexity of their lives and communities through cultural practices, through collective efforts at refusal, through the labors of their heart, the falsehood of the slave owners' claims that black people were reducible to brute laborers was made evident. Okay, so then it goes on. One can examine the hundreds of slave revolts beginning in 1526 and lasting through slavery's final days to see the impact of black people's demands for freedom. Thomas Jefferson believed that the animus between black and white people in North America was so extensive that free black people could never be allowed to stay in the United States. Rather, he supported efforts to transport free black Americans back to Africa, where they wished to go or not. In the notes he wrote, why not retain and incorporate the blacks into the state and thus save the expense of supplying by importation of white settlers? The vacancies they will leave. Deep-rooted prejudices entertained by the whites, 10,000 collections by the blacks of the injuries they have sustained, new provocations. The real distinction which nature has made and many other circumstances will divide us into parties and produce convulsions which will probably never end but in the extermination of one or the other race. Now, this guy right here, Thomas Jefferson, is the one who wrote the preamble to the Constitutions. Okay? He says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Right here, he's contradicting himself, okay, in these writings. And he knew because he was a slave owner himself, okay? I had one of his quotes about slavery, and you can look this up. He says, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever, that considering numbers, nature, and natural means only, a revolution of the wheel of fortune, an exchange of situation, which you just read in Sirach 10 and 8, okay, is among possible events. So he knew what was coming, but he was still a slaveholder.
Precept.
Okay. It says that it may become probable by supernatural interference, the Almighty has no attribute which can take side with us in such a contest. So he already knew that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua was against them for what they were doing, but they still did it, furthering that affliction.
Go ahead, bro.
Yep, it's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 16. It says, "Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity.
Yep.
And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey."
Yep. Hey, so that's straight to the point. We're just gonna hit on a cut. Let's hit on a few. I got one for you. So everything that you've done, it's gonna come back upon your own head. This is book of Isaiah, chapter 33, verse 1. It says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled." He says, "And dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee." So the treacherous works and dealings that you've done upon our people is going to come upon you. It says, "When thou ceased to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee." So the recompense things is going to come upon your own head. Go ahead, bro. Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, beginning at verse 9, and it reads, "If any man have an ear, let him hear." Any man with understanding, let him understand. Verse 10, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints."
Yes, sir.
All right, and this is clear. You were given the sword as a blessing, according to Genesis 27 and 41. You have had us in captivity for the longest. As a nation, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and even when you didn't have us in captivity, you helped the other adversaries who had us in captivity. Okay, and you got it coming to you. And it's going to be twice as hard and twice as long, according to Revelations 18, 5 and 6.
Go ahead, bro.
Of Exodus chapter 21, verse 16, it says, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So, hey, Esau, this is the judgment that's coming upon you, because did you not, and especially like concerning like the families, did you not rip us apart from each other and sell us, you stole us and sold us to different plantations?
Yep.
Separated the families, caused grief, all right, that extreme rigor, or made us to serve with rigor. So, hey, man, and that's why Vocab and these other Edomites are freaking out,
Dr. Brown.
trying to find loopholes within the scriptures, trying to justify Esau being saved. It ain't fucking happening.
Yep.
It ain't fucking happening. All right, you've dealt treacherously with us, and ultimately you are going to receive your just reward, which is slavery. And after you serve your servitude, your whole nation gonna be wiped out.
Yep. Well, like the opening scripture said, Obadiah 1 and 10, he shall be cut off forever. Yep.
It's the book of Job, chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. It says, "Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or when were the righteous cut off, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same." So you put out the wicked, treacherous dealings upon the people, upon first and foremost the nation of Israel, because again, I like to always bring out, Psalms 83, where you said, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel should be no more in remembrance. So that's been deployed because, again, as we mentioned earlier on, is that as long as the nation of Israel's at the bottom, you're going to remain on the top. So you do these things, but yet what you don't understand is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has got you, what brothers would say, in a trick bag. These things are going to place the things that you've plowed, when you've sowed and worked diligently to keep us in bondage, you're going to then, all the wickedness that you've done is going to be placed upon your own head. It says, and you're going to reap the same. So you're going to gather the same captivity, the same destruction that's going to be placed upon you outside of all the lewdness that is outside of the scriptures. It's outside of, that goes against Yahweh Bashem Yahushai.
Yeah, just to your point, what you just said. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 25, and it reads, "But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of persons. So here again, it's very clear. He that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong that he has done. There is no respect of person. That includes your generations after you.
Yeah.
Okay. Isaiah 14 and 21 says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. Okay. It says you will complain. Yeah, you will complain about it, but to no avail. You're going to pay for what your forefathers did. We did, you know. And as a matter of fact, you are your forefathers just like we are our forefathers. You know, reincarnation, regeneration is a real thing. All right.
You have something? All right, let's end on this here.
Come.
This is the book of I'm gonna reread. We read the first verse, or 7, but we're gonna continue on down. This is the book of Psalms 137, verse 7. It says, "Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof." We brought this out earlier. Verse 8, "O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that reward thee as thou hast served us." So Yahweh Shai is going to be happy to bring destruction upon you as you have done to his people. Right? It says, and not to mention, those that pricked him, they're going to have to receive that as well. Those who put their hands upon him when he was here.
1 and 7. Okay.
Yep. It says, "Happy shall he be that take and dasheth thy little ones against the stone," because we do know that many of our people, women bellies were cut out, and they were hung up, and babies were fed to dogs and
Alligators.
even alligators, bait, and then also physically dashed onto stone. So with that, we hope that this lesson was edifying into the body. Before we end, we'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. And to all those listening and learning, to you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.